Us live on DSTV channel 372. You can also watch us on Smart 24 TV channel 394 on Go TV, as well as our YouTube live stream on Smart 24 TV Live. We pledge, of course, to give you all the latest business information regarding the markets here in Uganda, in East Africa, and the global markets as well. A warm welcome. I'm very glad to have you. And of course, today we are going to have a look at the stock markets in details, but just an overview of what we really basically look into here on the show. Because financial markets are very diverse and they apply to so many different sectors with various products, we definitely take time to get to help you understand step by step methods you can use to understand and invest in their financial markets. Now, like any other markets, these markets are places for buying and selling. However, we don't deal in commodities like other common markets that we have. We do actually deal in financial instruments, just like the name goes, financial markets. And this particular space has been dominated recently by people who probably think probably they're the only ones. Maybe people think that people with businesses, big businesses, or people who have established themselves as investors are the only ones who have been able to invest in the field. But that has been changing over time with people who have now realized that actually financial markets are for everyone to invest. They're markets that are friendly, and definitely the only thing you need is knowledge, which we'll find only on this show. And definitely we will help you get through every single step, and definitely you will be able to understand how we work. We have 4 segments of this market that we look at, and number 1 is the stock market, where we are looking at capital-seeking companies that are listed on the exchange. These companies definitely bring on their shares to the public, saying that, hey, we need capital, and we need this capital to come from the public, and they go to the exchange, listing for the first time as on the primary market, where they look for capital from the public. And after this first initial step of getting to get listed on the stock exchange, we hop onto the secondary market. Of course, the initial public offer is what we call the primary market. Definitely the first time a company is issuing its shares to the public, and this particular time is a very critical one, because that means that the company is no longer a private limited company, but a public limited company that is liable to scrutiny by the public, especially those that have shares within this particular company. Because as a shareholder, you have a say in the company. You are a part owner of this company. And the moment you have that right to own a company, definitely you have a right to vote on several matters like leadership, like policy, and so many other things that you're supposed to be concerned with. And this initial public offer, or the primary markets, lasts a very short time, and after which the company lists onto the secondary market, which is what we basically look at after the initial public offer. And in this secondary market, we are seeing people who have already bought shares within the company being able to sell shares now to the rest of the public. If you didn't get the chance to buy on the initial public offer, you definitely have one after the primary market, that is during the secondary market trading. And the prices definitely, because of demand and supply, they keep changing every now and then. We see falling, we see rising in prices, depending on how much demand is on a particular stock for a company. And these forces of demand and supply push the prices either upwards or they push them downwards, depending on their magnitude. And in this market also, there are so many other factors that influence the pricings. For example, the turnover of the company. For example, how much the inflation as well in the country, and so many other things. All these factors come into play in the secondary market. And if you are looking at investing in the secondary market, all you have to do initially is to get yourself a Securities Central Depository account, rather an SCD account. And this SCD account gets you the right to actually be able to buy shares, because when you buy shares, you must have a place where you're storing your shares, and that place is the Securities Central Depository account, which helps you to keep track of your investment. It helps you to get to know how much you have. Whenever you sell, it's definitely debited, and whenever you buy, it's actually credited. And these shares and other securities like we shall look at later on are kept on this particular account that helps you keep track of your transactions. Of course, every transaction takes place with an intermediate called a stockbroker, who intermediates between you, an investor out there, and the Uganda Securities Exchange. And the rules at the moment, or the laws regulating this space, are stipulated in the Capital Markets Authority Act, are very well much clear that you will only be able to access the shares of a given company through a licensed stockbroker by the Capital Markets Authority. At the moment, we have 4 licensed stockbrokers. That is the Standard Bank Group Securities, SBG. We also have the Crested Capital Company, and we also have UAP Old Mutual stockbrokers, and as well as we have the Dyer and Blair Investment Company, and there's also dealing in the stock brokerage arm. And so these people will help you get access to the markets and definitely get you to trade on the stock market. Currently, Uganda has 18 companies that are listed. And of course, these companies include the 8 cross-listed companies from Nairobi mainly, and 10 locally listed or domestically listed companies. Our very own bread companies here in Uganda, and these are what are driving the market forward. And why is it important for you to actually know about the capital markets? Now, there's no country that has gone beyond the realms of development that has been able to survive this. Every company, every country around the world that has been able to successfully have a very sustainable economy, a very strong and resilient economy, has been a very major participant in the financial markets, particularly in the stock market. Look at countries like the United States of America. You're seeing companies that have the biggest net worth, companies that produce the most valuable products are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. And definitely this is one of the things that actually shows or manifests achievement or economic growth for a given company. And definitely being listed is one way people can actually entrust, trust your company, especially when it comes to also getting to sell off your company and trying to see that people buy, of course, products from your company. One way people can trust you is the fact that you're listed on an exchange, because it takes quite a lot to be listed. It takes a company that has very good books of accounts, a company with good corporate governance, a company that ensures profitability, a company that is well managed. That is exactly what it takes, and definitely people will be able to trust you. That is one arm of the financial markets that we look at. The other arm here in Uganda is the debt instruments. These debt instruments include the short-term debt instruments like treasury bills and the long-term treasury bonds, which are the long-term instruments as well, that are listed still on the Uganda Securities Exchange, but can also be accessed through the primary dealers. These primary dealers are mainly financial institutions like banks that have been licensed still to be able to carry out these securities trading. And they are able to offer you an opportunity to lend to government at a given interest rate. And of course, the Bank of Uganda auctions these instruments every once in a while. And bills in particular are much more often auctioned than treasury bonds, because they're short term, 3 months, 6 months, and a maximum of 1 year. And these debt instruments help you to get some passive income on your side as an investor, and also help you to get into lending government so it can run its business. The way it works, simply, you go out to your primary dealer, that is your commercial bank, you request that, hey, I want to buy this bond, I want to buy this bill. Of course, some of them are listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange, which we shall be seeing later on. But these listings definitely are accessible by primary dealers as well. Primary dealers and some stockbrokers, but they're also listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange. So if you would want to access some of them, you go through your primary dealer, and then they will be getting you into your debt instruments there, and they will be able to give you the rates. They'll be able to give you the options that are available. And at the moment, I have to say they are quite attractive because of the rising central bank rate. At the moment, we are standing at 9% of the central bank rate. The coupon rates or the interest rates on the debt instruments follow through the same tandem with the central bank rate and other rates. So that means that we expect quite high rates at the moment, and many people are taking advantage of this to invest. A humble reminder, however, is that when you're investing in the financial markets, you have to keep in mind one very important thing. You invest your residual income. You don't invest your daily income, because you don't want to invest in financial markets for a short term. This is something I've warned you about on the show, and something that many people have warned against, that if you want to invest safely in the markets, it has to be for the long term, because like any other market, there are risks in this sector, and you don't want to absorb all that risk in by investing your working capital, by investing your daily income. This can be fatal financially, and so you don't want to do that. So what you want to do is see, hey, I don't need this money in the next 2 years, so let me put it aside and make this investment, and definitely that will work out good for you. But at the moment, make sure you're saving some money, you're earning first of all some money, and then you have a source of income, you have a business, you have your job, and then if you're saving on that every month, instead of putting that money in a basket, putting it in a box under the pillow, you can put some of that money back into circulation by investing in some of these assets. The advantage they have is you don't have to wake up a single day to go to work for them. You have to only keep track of information around these markets. You only have to trust of course, the regulators in the space. You have to also get information regarding the exchange, the updates on certain companies, how each company is doing, get to know the trends. And this show helps you to do just that. And definitely that gives you a very nice move and gives you a chance to make use of that residual income. It's been a good day so far, and we are seeing that since the beginning of the Uganda Securities Exchange, its incorporation into the Capital Markets Authority Act, and that is since 1997, the markets have been improving. Many companies are coming to list. We've seen the most recent being MTN last year in December, and definitely many others we are hoping will be able to join this drive so that we can move forward as a nation, as far as investments are concerned. But this market space gives us opportunities that are so immense that definitely we have to harness as a country if we are to move forward. And of course, definitely you and I have to make this very brave choice. Now, recently the Uganda Securities Exchange came up with a quarterly report that definitely gives us how companies have performed in the last 3 months of the year 2022. And when we take a look at this report, definitely we see quite several counters that were able to perform. Like I said, we have over 10 domestic companies that are listed on the exchange, and over about 8 cross-listed companies that are cross-listed mainly from the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And these reports here have been able to show that the companies that have been able to dominate trading within those 3 months have been Wumeme and Stanbic Bank, as well as Bank of Baroda, and several others that have been able to actually trade on the stock market. And these markets, of course, we monitor here every single day as they open at 9 a.m. and close at 1 p.m. We monitor the markets of the previous day of trading to just see how the markets performed and what we should expect for the future. Now, Wumeme shares within the last 3 months. Wumeme has been one of the very active participants in trading almost on every single day. And Wumeme's shares were most traded on, according to the Uganda Securities Exchange, within the second quarter of 2022. During this period, Uganda Securities Exchange report indicates Wumeme traded 37.6 million shares, taking about 37.53% of the volume of the shares that were sold at the company's share price, as well as seeing that the price was improving with time. Now, Wumeme also recorded the largest turnover. Now, when we talk about the turnover, we talk about the monetary value of the shares. That is multiplying the share price multiplied by the number of shares that have been traded. Within this period, the company has contributed 8.9 billion Ugandan shillings, which accounts for 66.63% of the entire turnover within the period. During the same period, Uganda Securities Exchange reported that Bank of Baroda closely followed Wumeme, selling a total of about 28.9 million shares, which accounted for 15.69% of the entire turnover. Uganda Clays, which has been also active after years of muted activity, traded about 12.9 million shares, while MTN, Stanbic Bank, and National Insurance Corporation traded 10 million, 8.5 million, and 1.8 million respectively. Uganda Clays accounted for 12.96% of the total volumes that were traded, while MTN, Stanbic, and National Insurance Company or Corporation accounted for 10.14%, 8.5%, and 1.89%, respectively. Cipla Quality Chemicals, which is a pharmaceutical company, New Vision Printing and Publishing Company, as well as Centum, recorded marginal positions, and during the period, MTN contributed about 14.07% of the turnover, while Uganda Clays Limited, Stanbic, and National Insurance Corporation contributed about 1.95%, and 1.48% and 0.09% respectively. The rest of the counters, including Cipla, New Vision, DFCU, and Centum, had a combined turnover of 12.8 million Ugandan shillings. And the all-share index, which opened at about 1,246.99, increased slightly to 1,249.07 in May, but decreased gradually to close at 1,149. However, Uganda Securities Exchange said that in the second quarter, it registered a tremendous increase in the turnover of about 13.4 billion Ugandan shillings compared to 5.9 billion that was achieved in the period that was ended in June 2021. And we are seeing that, of course, was a very significant improvement. In terms of fixed incomes or the debt instruments, the Uganda Securities Exchange indicated that there were a total of about 11 treasury bonds that were reopened, and the value was about 1.98 trillion on the treasury bonds, while the 5 new bonds that had a value of 1.45 trillion were listed on the exchange as well. In the secondary market, the current total value of the government bonds stands at 24.5 trillion Ugandan shillings. That's a summary of the quarterly report from the Uganda Securities Exchange in as regards the trading. Wumeme coming out, of course, as the top performer in terms of price and also improving in terms of turnover. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we will give you a little bit more about the treasury bonds that are listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange that are up for grab, and as well as looking into the stock market yesterday. Stay with us, we'll be right back. And